It's Friday evening. You've done everything you're supposed to do for the week. Your reports are in, your emails are answered, and you finally signed out. And for the first time in a long time, you have a free weekend fully to yourself, nothing on your calendar. And you just sit there and you realize you don't even know what to do with it. You stop keeping track of the things you like, what you enjoy, what lights you up. Just think about it. When is the last time you've done something that just felt good, that was just for fun, that was just for you, with no expectations to produce anything, execute on anything, or have anyone waiting for you? And if you're sitting there having a hard time thinking about the last time that happened, this video is just for you. If you're new here, I'm Erica Prevail, and I talk about lifestyle redesign for ambitious women. I talk about modern work culture and how I cured myself from corporate brain rot after career burnout. I talk about wellness, and I also talk about creativity. And today is the last episode, episode 4, in a 4-part series that I did called 4 Reasons Why Your Life No Longer Feels Like Yours. So if you're coming in on episode 4, I highly recommend you go back and watch episodes 1, 2, and 3. And in this episode, we are talking about all things that have nothing to do with productivity and everything to do with feeling alive and living a full life. I gotta have my tea. I get to talking. So the layer that we're looking at today is the layer of creativity, joy, and living well. And this layer is not asking you to add more on your plate. It's not a hobby checklist or a self-care routine. This is the part of you that existed before work consumed everything. This is about creativity, joy, rest, connection, fun. The things that make you feel like your life is worth living, not just managing. And as I've shared in episodes 1, 2, and 3, these are the 4 layers that I see lifestyle redesign through based on my transformation and my lived experience and how I redesigned my life after career burnout. And there is no like step 1, step 2, step 3, like you have to do this one first, this one second. It is just based off what level needs your attention the most right now in your life. That's where I would recommend you to start. So you could go through episodes 1, 2, 3, and now we're in episode 4. And just based off the things that I described and how I describe them and the questions that I ask through them, you can determine which layer needs your attention most. And then I recommend you start at that specific layer. So what did this look like for me? Again, when I looked back over that part of my life and I sat down and was like, Erica, what did you actually do to change your life, to redesign your life? After brain dumping, voice noting, and all of the things, the strategist in me, because I'm a strategist in my 9 to 5 in my business. I've probably been a strategist since I was 7 years old. But the patterns that kept showing up fell in these 4 layers. And that's why I call them the 4 life layers of my lifestyle redesign. And when it came to creativity, joy, and living well, what that looked like for me was starting to pour back into my creativity again as a means of expression and to pour back into myself a level of restoration, rest, joy, calm, peace, ease. And from a tangible perspective, what that looked like first was I started back writing. As a little girl, I would write little short stories all the time. I've shared before on my channel that my grandmother was the woman who really cultivated my creativity, and I thank her so much for that. Till this day, I dedicated my book, Release and Renew, to her for that very reason. But she really cultivated my creativity. Like, she really poured into it. And I said in either episode 1 or 2, I can't remember which one, but if I had been asked the right questions as a young adult, like when we're going into college, getting our careers, I know I probably would have been somewhere in the arts, a creative director, a visual artist, which I do on the other side of my business. I do visual branding for small women-owned businesses, but I probably would have went down that lane if I would have just been asked the right questions. But back to what I was saying, what that looked like for me was I started writing again. I started a style blog because I've always been into style and fashion. In high school, I was runner-up for best dressed. So I started tapping back into those things as a means of creative expression, lighting me up, bringing me joy, because in my corporate career, I let those things go for chasing the next goal, the next promotion, always being available, just doing all the things that we do as ambitious women in our careers. And creating that blog really sparked something in me that I did not know that I needed. Like, I knew I needed it, but actually putting in the effort and the work behind it, it really lit something up for me. And I tapped back into painting again, because again, painting with my grandmother and doing all types of art projects with my grandmother, I really enjoyed that. So I started painting again, not to be some Picasso or some famous artist, but just for fun, just for expression, just for a place to allow my creativity to flow. And the way those things made me feel, I knew that I could not let them go again. And doing these types of things that allowed my creativity to be expressed, that gave me some level of peace, some level of joy, some level of restoration, and not in a way to try to monetize it or to overproduce something, but just allowing it to feel good. Like, not trying to be an expert at it, not trying to be some guru, or, all of the things that we do when when we're ambitious. We have to become the next expert, the next guru. We have to monetize it, but just doing it in a way that lit me up. And although I discovered these things during my sabbatical, you don't need to do that. You can start today in small ways, just thinking back to those things that really lit you up, or getting curious about new ones and starting there. Because the pattern that we often fall into is, again, with my style blog, for example, I started that as pure creative expression. And it felt so good to build a small community of women who wanted to hear about my style and fashion tips and strategies and stories. And I've mixed a little bit of lifestyle in with it. But what happened when I first started that blog is I fell back into old patterns, and I let the external get to me, and I monetized my blog. I then built a Instagram page and got immediately focused on the views, the subscribers, likes, comments, and all of those things, versus just really staying rooted in the art of it all and the joy of it all. But those are the patterns that we fall into. And that's, again, why I'm having these conversations, why I did this 4-part series. So I can share my story, and maybe you can learn from my story. And when you're tapping back into things that bring you joy, creative expression, that they are done in a place that is truly for you. Don't try to monetize it. Don't try to become some expert or guru at it. Just allow it to stay grounded in joy and curiosity in fun and expression. And that's when you'll feel that those things allowing you to restore you and fill you back up. I'm having a lot of thoughts now, and then I have my notes because I don't want to get off track. But then I just had a thought because I feel like we've forgotten how to do things that don't ask anything from us. And I think that's something that needs to be said, and why oftentimes many of us as ambitious women have just ultimately like thrown creativity, joy, fun, all of in the things that I put under living well. The things I put under living well are like rest and connection, like with friends and community groups and hobbies. Like we've put those things off to the side to begin with. But then when we tap back into them, we forget how to do things that don't need anything from us. And I've really been enjoying in my art, particularly like this summer, girl, I have started about I started 4 art projects this summer, and I only finished 1 because the way that I express and allow my creativity to be expressed is that I'm not rushing to finish my art projects. Like I'll work on them one in a few days, and then I'll just let them sit there sometimes for weeks and for months. And when I feel like my creativity wants to be expressed in that way again, I'll pick them back up. On one of the art projects that I was working on this summer, like I started the sketch, and I think I shared on the community tab or something that I was inspired by these colors. So I sketched out what I wanted it to look like, and then I just showed it to a friend, and she was like, "Oh, that looks great. Like the sketch looks really good. I can't wait to see when it's finished." And I'm like, "Girl, that'll probably be next time some year." She started laughing like next year. I was like, "Yeah, just because I'm not in a rush to finish it, that's not the goal when I'm doing my art. It is purely a way for me to express my creativity and have a level of like peace and calm, because that's what the art brings to me." And as I said before, like under the living well category, I put rest into that, and rest as tapping into all 7 types of rest, not just physical rest. And I know people, when they think about rest, they often just think about physical rest. And I think more people are becoming aware of emotional rest and mental rest. But there are 7 different types of rest. And understanding what all of those 7 types of rest are. So physical rest, mental rest, emotional rest, social rest, spiritual rest, sensory rest, and creative rest. Those are the 7 types of rest. And just understanding that they all fit into our lives in different ways, and our lives need them in different ways. In different seasons, you might need a little bit more physical rest. You might need a little bit more sensory rest. If you watch my video on when I did the 7 days of silence, that was a part of a sensory rest for me. And in addition to me just wanting to hear from God after just feeling a little bit of stuckness in my business, but just really understanding what rest is and how rest really contributes to living well, living fully, living as a full human, living as a full woman, not just as a robot. Because you can sleep for 8 hours and still wake up feeling drained, depleted, and all the things, because maybe physical rest wasn't the type of rest that your body was calling for at that time. You might need sensory rest, getting away from all of the noise and the sounds and the lights and the pings of the cell phone and the dings of the laptop. Or you might need social rest. And social rest isn't about like a no people zone. Social rest, especially like if you have a very visible role, or you're a mentor in some way, or you have to show up externally often for people, you might need a little social rest, time with a good girlfriend to laugh and kiki and to catch up. But understanding where the rest is calling you to come in your season of life, or in this week or in this month for you, adds to that part of living well. And I also want to say that living well is not a checklist. It's not, get your sleep, drink your water, eat your whole grains, your all of the things. Like, we understand that that is a part of living well, but I never want you to think that living well is a checklist, that if I do this, and this, then I'm living well. No, it's individual for you, your body, your life, and what fills your cup, what lights you up, what brings you joy. That's what living well is, the type of connections that you make, the organizations or community service entities that you volunteer to that make you happy. That is what living well is about. And for me, like I said before, connection under that living well is a big part for me. I'm an introvert. And I have in my adult life probably 5 or 6 good girlfriends that I really, really cherish. And I know there's a lot of conversations on the internet now about friendships. Oh, it's hard to find adult friendships and it's hard to find loyal friendships. But I also want to put out there that I'm going to save that for a whole nother video, because I could go really deep on that and I want to stay focused on here. But what I will say is that if you just open yourself up to being the type of friend that you want to be and calling in those types of friendships. So one of my good friends today is a newer friendship. We met on Instagram back in my style blogging days, and we would just like comment on each other's content, like we had never met. But she moved into the area where I lived at, and she reached out to me, and we met for either lunch or dinner one day, and we have been really good friends to this day. And actually the other day, this brings into the connection part, that we were talking on the phone about something, girl, I can't remember. But then we got into friendships, and we were talking about how there's been a conversation around friendships, like people want friendships or want to hold on to certain friendships for what those friendships can give you, like can offer you, like external, like I want to be friends with you because you can get me in this room, or I want to be friends with you because you can do this or do that. And we were talking about it, and it just baffled me, because I was thinking back over my life again, even with this new friendship with her. And it was just like, that is insane that people go after friendships for that reason. Well, to me, that's not even really a friendship. That's just a transactional acquaintance, but connection plays a real part for me. My device completely freaked out and it stopped recording audio. So I'm having to do a voiceover on the rest of the video. I really hope you'll stay along, because there are a few more things that I do want to share with you, especially when we get down to the question. So where I left off was that connection plays a really big part for me when it comes to living well, especially I'm a woman with no children, and I'm the eldest daughter. So I lived a lot of my life kind of as the only child, even though I have siblings, they're just much younger than me. So connection and finding quality connection and staying grounded in those true trusted friendships are things that are really important to me when it comes to living well, in addition to doing things like volunteering or offering my time to organizations that really light me up. So I say all that to say that only you can decide what living well looks like for you in this season of your life. It's not about, what worked for me or what looked good for someone else or what you saw on Pinterest or what you saw on YouTube or what you saw on TikTok or Instagram. It's not about that. Living well isn't something that I can define for you. That is yours to figure out. It's very personal, it's very special. And getting curious about that is actually where it starts, you know. And I also want to share with you, like, I figured out a lot of these things during my sabbatical. And you know, I always say you do not need a sabbatical to start redesigning your life. You can start exploring that today. You also don't need a free weekend or the perfect season or for things to calm down. You can start with one small things this week, something that has nothing to do with productivity, something that you used to love. You know, think back to the time when you were a child. Like I said, even just thinking about my dad and how he taught me how to skate. Like, I remember being like 7 years old, 8 years old, my dad outside teaching me how to skate on the road. And about 2 years ago, I bought myself a pair of skates and I started skating again, here and there, not regularly, but I do have them for when I want to pick them back up. So start with something you used to love. Start with something you've been curious about. Start with something that just sounds fun for no reason at all. Like, just ask yourself, like, what would it look like if I just started without needing it to be good, without needing it to go anywhere, without needing it to become something? Just ask yourself that question. And again, I'm not here to give you another copy and paste solution. I'm here to help you get curious about your own life again. Start noticing, start asking yourself different questions, start interrupting some of those patterns, and start moving in a way, in small intentional steps, towards the life and the type of work that you desire. And if you're looking for a structured place to start exploring what living well actually looks like for you, the Ambition Reset is my digital product. It's a 7-day audio experience. It's self-guided, and that's linked down in the description box if that's something that you're interested in. Now, you know, I'm not going to leave you in this 4-part series without giving you any questions, even though my device freaked out. I'm doing this voiceover. I'm still sticking to me serving in this way. And this is something too. I could have just freaked out. You know, I'm in the editing process, editing the video. I get almost towards the end and then there's no sound. That could have like just had my day spiral. But this is also a true testament of how I've redesigned my life, looking at all these 4 layers, really making decisions for myself, getting my nervous system and my body back to a place of calm where I'm not making knee-jerk reactions to things, where I'm not allowing one hiccup in the day or one shortcoming to like ruin my whole day. This is what lifestyle design really looks like in practice. So in a way, I'm kind of glad that this happened, even though it kind of messed up the video and I'm having to do this voiceover. I'm still getting it done. I'm still bringing the message to you. So let's get into the questions. So question number 1, and go ahead and like this video for me. Let me know if you're still watching at this point, even on this voiceover. Can you put the microphone emoji down in the comments just to let me know that you're watching still to this part? Put the microphone emoji down in the comments, because I'm literally in my closet where I used to record audio with my mic, recording this voiceover. Okay, so let me stop yapping, which I'm not really good at, but recording these videos are making me a little bit better yapper. Okay, question number 1. What did you used to do just for fun before your career consumed everything? And when did that stop? Think about that. And if that looks like thinking back too far, like, girl, I can't even remember back that far. Try this instead. What are you curious about now? What is catching your attention in this season? What makes you think, I've always wanted to try that? It doesn't have to be anything deep. It can be pickleball. It can be photography. It could be a puzzle. You can start there. Let me tell you a quick story about that. I think at the beginning of the year, I was in a store. I had some time to kill. So I was just walking around the store, going aisle to aisle, girl. And I got to the puzzle aisle, and there was this puzzle that really got my attention. And I put it in the cart. You know, I ended up still going aisle to aisle, looking for what else I can find. So I ended up buying the puzzle, and I brought it home, and I just let it sit there for a few weeks. I didn't touch it. I didn't put it together or anything. But one day, you know, I felt like doing it, and I just put it out on the table, and I start organizing the pieces. I think it was either a 300 or 350 piece puzzle, but started putting the pieces out, getting the border and the edges together. And before I knew it, girl, like an hour and a half had passed. And I was like so engulfed in the puzzle, like I was in a trance almost of like relaxation. I did not expect puzzling to be that soothing and that relaxing. And I called my mom and told her about it, and she was like, yeah, they are very relaxing. I've done a few puzzles myself. She was like, I have a few of them here if you want some. So she gave me a few puzzles as well, but puzzles opened a door that I didn't know. And that's what curiosity too is all about, like just allowing something to pull you towards it and giving it a try and see how it makes you feel, see what door it opens for you. Okay, question number 2. If you couldn't monetize it, couldn't be great at it, and no one would ever see it, what would you do just for the fun of it or just for the joy of it? Think about that. Make that list for yourself, and then find something to just explore or experiment with. Question number 3. Which of the 7 types of rest does your life feel the most depleted right now? And when did you last actually address that? So again, the 7 types of rest are physical rest, emotional rest, mental rest, spiritual rest, sensory rest, social rest, and creative rest. So those are the 7 types. And of those 7 types, where do you feel like your life needs the most rest right now? Let me know down in the comments, and I can offer you some additional tips about that type of rest if that's something that you would like. Question number 4. What would living well actually look like for you in this season? Not what looks good on paper, not what worked for somebody else, not because you saw it on TikTok or Instagram, but what would make your everyday life feel good to be living? Just think about that for yourself. Journal it down, write this in a journal. If you need to come back to these questions, rewind, do that. And a few more. So instead of asking, how do I become more creative? Because I know listening to this video, watching this video, you're probably like, Erica, I'm not a creative person. I never been creative. Well, go back and watch some of my videos that I did where I talked about applied creativity versus artistic creativity, because you're doing applied creativity every single day in your work. And when you're not pouring back into that cup the same way you pull from it at work every day, that adds to your level of exhaustion. So you are creative. So instead of asking, how do I become creative? Ask yourself, what would it look like if I started without needing to be good? If you started the pickleball without having to be the expert, started the tennis, started the painting, started the jewelry making, whatever that looks like, where you playing the instrument, baking the goods you've been wanting to bake, the cakes, the cookies, the pies, whatever that may be. What if you tried it without needing to be good at it first? Also ask, instead of how do I find time for myself, ask, what small thing could I make a me decision about this week just because it feels good? And again, I say me decisions. A lot of people say, oh, you need to give yourself permission. And I do think there is a space for permission, but I say make a me decision. Make a decision just for you, for you, for you, for you, with no external input. So if you made a me decision this week, what's one way you can make a me decision that actually feels good? And lastly, instead of asking, how do I live well? Ask, what does a good day actually feel like for me? Not a perfect day, okay? But a good day. What would that look like for you? Having a good day. Not how do I live well? But what does it look like for me to feel like I'm having a good day? A good day for me is me getting out, doing my beach walk, coming to work, having a low impact day, getting through the work, collaborating where needed, cooking myself a meal that I do often, sitting out on the balcony, doing my daily walk, having a catch-up session with a girlfriend over the phone. That's what a good day looks like for me. It really does. Those things really do fill me up. So like I've ended all the videos, I say you've become an expert at everyone else's expectations, ideas, decisions, but you have become a stranger to your own. And I'm not here to give you all the answers. I'm here to help you make sense of what you're already noticing, interrupt the pattern, and decide what to actually do with it. If you're coming in on part 4, go back and watch episodes 1, 2, and 3. I also have a playlist of this 4-part series, so you can go right to that playlist. All of that is linked down in the description box. If this series resonated with you and you want to go deeper in any parts of these layers, I'm thinking about offering strategy sessions. If that's something that you're interested in, let me know in the comments. You can DM me. And I also want you to know these 4 layers, it's not a step 1, step 2, step 3. It's watching all 4 episodes, listening to how I describe them, and then finding which layer needs your attention the most in this season. And that's where you start. Again, you can try the questions, start with the questions, going deeper, answering them honestly. And then if you want someone to help guide you through the question and actually come up with a strategy, I can help you with that. It's something that I'm not offering publicly now, but if it's something that you're interested in, definitely DM me, email me. All of my contact information is in the description box. And thank you for still being here, if you're still here, even though my device completely freaked out. And I'll talk to you in the next video. Bye.